Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show. John Maloney, we have this morning something we like to call on the show a Splag burger with the lot.
Yeah.
For listeners who are newer to the show, what's the Splag burger with the lot? Well, Splag burger with the lot is when a whole bunch of themes that we love to explore on the show come together in one delicious, tasty, thematic hamburger that makes us rejoice and go, this is going to be fun to talk about because it's got some classic don't praise the machine elements that we love to taste on our tongues. I'm talking about running, aka marathons. This story brings together shame, one of my absolute favorite emotions in the world. Wikipedia and Wikipedia edits.
Great.
John Maloney, you're a notorious Wikipedia editor, would you say?
I am, yeah. Look, I've had some dealings. In fact, we started the podcast with, which I think must be close to 190 episodes ago now, with a recounting of some of the trolling that I did in my early days of Wikipedia use, editing.
That's right.
Editing the pages of minor celebrities to put in false and defamatory information, and in some cases, getting into kind of back and forths with the authors of the pages who I suspect were also the subject of those pages.
We're also the celebrities,
exactly,
who the owners of the page was about. Two more toppings on this Splag burger with a lot. I'm talking about fragile egos and being caught doing something disgraceful is what we love on the show. So I'll just read the headline, and I need to give a massive shout out to my friend Philip who put me in touch with this story because it's such a great little nugget. And the headline that I read was Ultrarunner Camille Herron dropped by Lululemon following Wikipedia editing controversy. And
Great.
I love headlines like this because I'm trying to improve my writing, and that's everything in there makes me want to read that story. I got to tell you. So I got a lot of this from runnersworld.com as well. So there is a renowned distance runner named Camille Herron, and her with alongside her coach allegedly was caught removing accolades from other ultramarathon runners' Wikipedia pages whilst amplifying her own.
Oh, great.
Which is I just love thinking of you doing that, John, to other lawyers. Just
listing all of my awards and then removing all of their awards on their pages. Great.
So her coach's name is Conor Holt.
Yeah.
And I think there's a suggestion they may have made hundreds of edits over years and years. And one of the most recent usernames was Run Bowie, and that account had been removing titles and achievements of other high-profile runners, including Courtney Dauwalter, Courtney Dauwalter is the superstar of ultramarathon running. Like, of all the ultramarathon runners in the world, the only one I really know the name of off the top of my head is Courtney Dauwalter. She's killer Dauwalter. Another one named Killian Jornet.
Okay.
So Camille and her husband Conor were basically, they were caught by, I'm just trying to read.
So was her husband also her coach?
Her husband was also her coach, which also just makes it extra delicious that it wasn't just a coach trying to help her out. It was her husband. Yeah. And
how good was she? I mean, was she okay? Was she great?
She was, she's like, I mean, the line here says renowned distance runner. So she's got to be up there, and she's competing against these other killers like Courtney Dauwalter. But I love that when they would remove certain accolades, her and her husband would cite puffery as the way to pull out something very nice about another marathon runner. So for example, we've got here. So they would pull out puffery whilst adding almost the exact same description to her own Wikipedia page, describing herself as widely regarded as one of the greatest ultramarathon runners of all time. So they'd pull that out of a competitor's Wikipedia page,
put it or keep it in her own page,
and just like put it back in her own page while citing the reason for removing it as puffery. Yeah, and it says here since 2017, these accounts are thought to have made 300 contributions to Wikipedia, and more than half are entirely embellishments to Herron's page.
Wow. That's so weird. And is there much about, what was the, is this just vanity, or did she see it as a commercial, having a commercial benefit or reputational benefit?
It's a great question. So I did actually pull, her husband responded to it. So in the days after this was published, I think maybe it was published on runnersworld.com. But I have here the article that with her husband, which is also quite funny. This is from runultra.com, and it says here, Camille Herron's press release by Conor Holt, her husband. Camille Herron's husband Conor shares his comments about the Canadian Running Magazine article. It was Canadian Running Magazine article.
Okay.
Which alleged that Camille's involvement in altering information on her own and other athletes' Wikipedia page. So I'll just read this to you. So he just wrote in response to Canadian Running Magazine. Yesterday I received a notification about a published article by a Canadian Running Magazine. The author said he reached out for comment before it was published. I found an email sent the 20th in my spam account after the article was published! ! Classic. I never got a chance to say anything to the Canadian Running website before they published it. Plus, we have been traveling in the last few days with limited accent. For the Wikipedia part, Tempo Run 73 was the original account I created in 2006 to use to edit the page. I manage this so Camille can focus on running and recovery. Since starting in 2023 and continuing to this day, cyberbullies by the name of, and then he's given like a bunch of names I've never seen or no one's heard of, and some were repeatedly editing out significant parts of Camille's life and biographical details. I kept adding back in details, and then they blocked my account in February this year. Nothing was out of line. And what other athletes have in their, nothing was out of line with what other athletes have on their pages. Wikipedia allows the creation of another account, so I created a new account, Run Bowie, after the last one got banned. I was going off what other athletes had on their pages using the name Run Bowie and copying, pasting info.
Right.
Camille had nothing to do with this. I am 100% responsible and apologize for any athletes affected by this. I was only trying to protect Camille from the constant bullying, harassment, and accusations she has endured during her running career, which has severely impacted her mental health. So much to the point that she has sought professional mental help. I went ahead and deactivated all of Camille's social platforms for the time being because of the vile comments she has received. So big victim switch
why didn't she delete her own fucking account? But also... that sounds a bit domineering, but also what's notably absent from that is an express denial of having done that to the other pages.
Exactly,
like, I did this, I did that, the end. It's like, it's like, well, hang on. None of that is anything that's being complained of, though.
That's exactly right, John. He's done the classic. Just look at this. Don't look. I'm responding to the allegations, and then you just respond to the one that suits you, and that you can try and get around.
I resisted cyberbullies. It's like, but did you delete stuff from other people's pages? Yes or no?
Man, imagine. Apparently, these two have been quite difficult as well. Okay. Just on the ultra circuit, they have a reputation for being difficult people.
Okay. Can I just have their names again? I want to just put a face to this.
It's Camille Herron. And her husband,
Conor
Holt.
There they are.
How do they look? How would you describe them?
Oh, this isn't a very good picture, but here we go. There's a better one.
This one, John, here's a quote from runningmagazine.com. One warning from Wikipedia administrators in January of 2024 read, using language like legendary, prestigious, and steely toughness is not the kind of neutral tone allowed in writing here.
That's great. Yeah.
And then,
so they look, they do look sort of odd, like odd people. And Conor is, you would say, a kind of, strange looking guy. It doesn't surprise me. You can't judge a book by its cover, but if you said to me that guy's an arsehole, I wouldn't say, oh, but he looks lovely, because he sort of looks like he has the capacity to be an arsehole. But that's interesting. I mean, that was never the tone of my edits. It was more just false facts about people.
Yeah.
Or sometimes trying to insinuate that my life and their life were related in ways that they weren't.
That's right. You used to put your own name into articles of celebrities and stuff.
I put my name in, there'd be a cast list for some movie that Kurt Russell was in 1987, and I just would sneak my name into it and see how long it lasted. And it's interesting because in those days it was very, I mean, it is still kind of primarily volunteer run, but it obviously relies also on a whole range of now much more developed systems to automatically sift through content and delete stuff automatically. So if you just write kind of abusive dribble, then an algorithm, I guess, will pick up that that's probably not a constructive edit, and often will kind of take it down and send you a message saying this appears to be, this appears to be an invalid edit, or it appears to be graffiti, or it appears to be defacing the entry. And if it's not, then let us know. And usually I just have to go, no, fair cop, that is what it was. It's good. That's a good machine you got there. And
you've greased that machine up real good. It's doing a great job.
It's doing a great job.
Cogs are real turning on that machine you got down there, Wikipedia.
Exactly. I'm kind of like a hacker that's been brought in by the CIA to test the integrity of the system.
I said this on the first episode, but that was nearly 190 episodes ago, so I'll just repeat it. Your best line was on Kurt Russell, where you just went into Kurt Russell's Wikipedia page, and the first thing you did, I think it was him. I think the first thing you did is that you just added to his family section. You just added that his grandfather was a male gigolo.
That's right.
And then you also, I think, ended his entire Wikipedia article just with the last paragraph. The last line you put was just, Kurt Russell drives a tank and has lost the will to live. No citation.
That's true.
It's just quite a punchy non sequitur.
Yeah. Just kind of listlessly driving around in a tank in his Malibu mansion.
This also has here, John. We have here from Trish Kearns, the president of the Global Organization of Multi-Day Marathoners. She's quoted as saying, "In my 46 years of ultra running, I've never seen anyone as talented as Camille, who is so dedicated to creating division and animosity within the ultra running community."
Wow. Far out.
What a weird person. Just like this combination of an ability to run ultra marathons, just pure mad fucker, and just also really vindictive nasty weirdo.
It's so interesting. Like
world's most fragile ego.
Yeah. Like the psychology of having the kind of mental toughness that's involved in doing long distance running. Yeah. But then just kind of bristling at the fact that other people, I mean, who the fuck cares about Wikipedia anyway? It's just like people, like she's annoyed by the fact that people are going on these people's Wikipedia pages and seeing their accolades. I mean, or maybe her husband is. It's a bit hard to understand. Maybe they've got a kind of kink where she enjoys the fact that he goes into bat for her on Wikipedia. And
that is such a good kink. That is such a contemporary kink. Some
like,
people like
don't remove it. He's like, I'm gonna remove it.
Wikipedia fetish. Some people like dressing up as dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, did you go into Courtney Dew? Did you take all of Courtney Dewalter's accolades out of a Wikipedia page? Have you cited puffery?
Puffery. That was a phrase that a word that I only discovered when I started my law degree. Puffery. It's one of those things that I guess marketing people and lawyers know well, the term puffery. But there you go. I didn't realize it was a reason for a justification for making edits on Wikipedia. And you do often have, as somebody who used to spend a fair bit of time on there, you get a capacity to recognize the sort of slightly odd diction and also the level of specificity that is involved in people writing their own pages, so that you can often recognize when a celebrity's done this themselves and they say, he was motivated by his 6th grade drama teacher, and you go,
that's right.
No fan is going to have known that because you're not that famous that anyone's that interested, and you've just done it yourself. Or, he cites his uncle as a great influence or whatever. It's this kind of stuff that's like just some saddie sitting around doing his own page.
Some people say there's a lot of, some people say,
he's known for this, and you go,
he is known.
I don't think you are really, actually.
He is known for, some people say, he is known for being the greatest DJ in his local area. And right. He is widely regarded.
Yeah, he has been compared to this person. There's like one review written by a friend of theirs. But that's interesting. I mean, it's fascinating. It's also interesting that it's still, because it seems, and maybe it's because it comes on top of a kind of pattern of behavior that had worn people's patience pretty thin, but it seems like in itself a kind of fairly obscure and inconsequential thing to do. So it's weird that a brand would have consequences of a kind of cancel culture adjacent kind, because, it's not like she's said anything awful or been bigoted or something. She's rather just kind of asserted that she's great and everyone else is not as great, which is not that unusual for pro athletes in any event, but I guess they don't usually go to the trouble of defacing people's Wikipedia pages.
Yeah, you can't do that with what's meant to be an objective, as objective as possible source. But also, I love the idea when people get caught out for that, just the feeling in somebody's stomach when you've done something it's like so lame and terrible that makes you just look like such a shitty person. And then you have to come up with the most amazing amount of copium that you can to try and...
Lethal dose of copium.
Lethal dose of copium. And... my guess is that they were both in. My guess, if I had to guess, would be that they're both in on it. But of course, his statement, he's gone, okay, well, we've been caught. So how can we resolve this as quickly as possible without having to really face it? Okay, so they know that I've done this. So what I'll do is I'll shift the blame to cyber bullies. It's such a classic.
Who's that guy? Jussie Smollett, who it's a kind of like, it was these nameless assailants, and it's like, were there cyber bullies though?
Yeah. Probably not. And it reminds me very much of when you catch somebody out in a lie, somebody who's done something that they're ashamed of and they think they can get away with. What people often do is they will pick something bad that happened to them and desperately try to relate it to whatever has just happened to them so that they can kind of make you have some amount of sympathy for them.
Yeah.
So, for example, he's named people here and said they are the reason that... So it's like the reason that we've been editing other people's Wikipedia articles whilst inflating Camille's for years and years and years is because, like, one time... one person wrote something bad on Wikipedia. So that like he'll find one example of one person or he'll say, I did this because of this person who's a cyberbully. And then when you look into it, it turns out that person once sent like a disparaging email 7 years ago, but they're so desperate to try and link to make themselves the victim and to say, oh, well, the reason that we did this is obviously because of this other thing. And you go, they're not related at all.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. That person didn't make you go on to a third person's page and deface it. That had nothing to do with cyberbullying.
I've had so many interactions with people over my life when you catch them in a lie and they start saying things to you. They panic and they start saying things to you. They go, oh, yeah, well, I did it because you did this. And you just go, that's just completely unrelated.
Not a logical sequence.
You are drowning here.
Yeah, I'll give you half an hour to come up with for your brain to come up with a smoother, self-justifying narrative.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because it coincides with something which I can come to in a moment, but another piece of controversy involving Wikipedia being sued by a news network. And of course, the effect of that, as will be the effect of this, is that Wikipedia will now reflect that having happened on the Wikipedia page, as it will reflect Camille just being a psycho forevermore. So she's sealed her fate. But I don't. Do you have any idea how they got caught? Because they were obviously using pseudonyms.
Yeah, so it's from Canadian Running Magazine. I'll tell you what I'll do, John. I will ask my best friend, Perplexity, because Perplexity, I want to thank you so much. There's a lot happening in the world of Perplexity. Oh, while I open Perplexity here, a little side note, Perplexity, a lot going on in Perplexity news. The CEO is out there. He's very public, making statements. He is a cool guy. They are apparently going to start potentially running ads soon to monetize, to increase their value, Perplexity. But boy, oh boy, I've mentioned Perplexity before. Perplexity, I love you so much. Yeah.
There you go.
I need to listen to the full interview with him and Lex Friedman. So I'm going to ask Perplexity, how would you ask it in legal terms, John? Camille?
Well, you could just say, regarding Camille, what was her name? Sorry.
I'll Camille. Say, how was Camille Herron caught for
how was
for editing?
How was her defacing of Wikipedia detected? You could ask.
Great. So it says, let's have a look. It says the controversy was exposed by Canadian Running Magazine, leading to a significant backlash. So I'm assuming this Canadian Running Magazine got a sense that something was going on because people would have said, "Man, my Wikipedia." Courtney Dauwalter would have said, "You know what's really strange is my Wikipedia page keeps having my accolades removed for years, and I don't know what's going on." And then somebody said, "That's so funny because that's happened to me as well." And then Canadian Magazine must have done a deep dive, looked into the usernames, because of course Wikipedia keeps the history of all the edits. Any edit that's made is attributed to a username. Yep. So they then would have gone and hunted down the usernames, and often people go on.
Often there's little editing kind of side threads where people will debate about the propriety of having made a particular edit and go back and forth, and somebody, because you can get kind of ranks, as I've now sort of discovered, if you sign up to Wikipedia and then you kind of edit a certain number of pages, then you'll get slightly higher clearance effectively to edit pages that previously you wouldn't have had the capacity to edit. And I would think probably in the circumstance where if you continue on that path, then you'll get into a circumstance where you might have essentially rank over someone who's just made a random edit.
Got you.
And then
there's a hierarchy.
Then it's kind of a self-regulating hierarchical system of editors, really. And, you've got to make a certain number of good faith edits to kind of get to the next level of clearance. So, and eventually you get, into these pages that, if I just was to come into Wikipedia, not signed in or anything, I wouldn't have any capacity to edit at all. So I assume that, there'd be a kind of trail, a digital trail of that kind, where there might be people kind of going, who the fuck keeps deleting these entries, etc.
Well, I'm guessing. Now that you're saying that, John, I'm guessing what happened was people's pages were getting edited. They went and looked at the username that was editing their Wikipedia page, clicked on the username and looked at user activity, and surprise, surprise, that user has also made a bunch of edits to Camille's page where she's just basically added accolades. So this username is removing accolades from everybody else's Wikipedia page and seems to only be re-adding them to this one other. So it's either a super fan weirdo or I guess also because that woman that woman, that administrator, said that I've never seen anyone as talented as Camille, who is dedicated to creating division and animosity with an ultramarathon. I bet that as soon there would have been a sense from Canadian Running Magazine. They would have gone, I wouldn't be surprised if this is Camille
written all over it. Yeah. Yeah. There'll be another I, Tonya. This is a great, it's like a Foxcatcher, I, Tonya, and now Camille
Herron.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was dropped by Lululemon for it. That's she had a sponsorship deal, and they said, yeah, we can't be associated with this anymore. If you've not read about Courtney Dauwalter, John, she is a hero of mine. She absolutely dominates ultramarathon running in the women's, but she's also won a couple of men's events over the time. Such is her ultra running ability, and she has a very lovely way about her. And she has been on Joe Rogan, where he asked her about her diet, and she just said that she just eats whatever the fuck she wants. She just like eats cheeseburgers and Skittles, because
she just runs
that's her favorite food, and she can.
Yeah.
And she would make a great documentary film subject. I think if there's a Netflix doc about Courtney Dauwalter, then
I'm surprised there's
I would love to see that.
Speaking of diets, I can't claim to have been invited on Joe Rogan's show to talk about my diet just yet. But you did make some tentative inquiries with Optiman about the possibility of entering into a sponsorship arrangement with them. And I am crossing my fingers and toes because, tell you what, just today for lunch, I enjoyed a tall glass of chocolate slop from Optiman, and it's got all the nutrients I need. It has something in it that stops me from being hungry. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know. I don't want to look under the hood. That's for the scienticians at Optiman to work out. But it's doing me good. So I encourage whoever's responsible for making those inquiries at Optiman to redouble their efforts, and hopefully we're going to have some affiliate links for you pretty soon.
Yeah, so that was your meal replacement shake that you spoke about glowingly a couple of weeks ago, and then I looked for a affiliate link that we could use, because normally, a lot of these programs now, they have affiliate links that you can just access. So there's websites that are affiliateking.com, and you just sign up, and there's thousands of products that you can just go and get a unique affiliate link for, and then you're free to put that link wherever you want in the world. Yeah. And it's a unique link to you. And if anybody buys through that specific URL, then you get the commission.
Oh,
and so
that's clever.
Yeah. So there doesn't need to be any type of checks and balances. People just go, look, we're selling this widget, and it has an affiliate, and we're selling it through this affiliate link website. There's a program that you can go. So you sign up, and then if you wanted to, you could even start running Facebook ads specific to the product. So you would almost appear that you are the company. You could run Facebook creative and say, I could go and say, I go get this widget link. And then I just go, let's say it's a red hat. And then I go, okay, I'm going to make a bunch of red hat ads on Facebook. Yeah. And then I'm going to, I obviously pay to run them on Facebook. And then my bet would be that I could get enough people to buy the red hat that, I'd make bank from the affiliate link. So
you pay for the link, and then
no, the link's free.
The links. Oh, you pay to run the ads. I see what you mean.
You pay to run.
But if you just had like a private Instagram account, you had say 4,000 followers, because I don't know, you're a popular person and kind of minorly well known, there'd be nothing to stop you just putting that in your stories, would there, and saying like, no, that's fucking see if I can make a small amount of coin here from people clicking the link.
And 99.9% of the links that you're seeing, John, on those social media sites are this system. Like Amazon has their own. So Amazon has like Amazon affiliate, where you sign in to Amazon, and then I think any I think virtually any product that is being sold on Amazon, you can get an affiliate link for that's unique to your Amazon account. So, for example, we need to start running affiliate links for all the gear that we use to record the podcast, which we actually just mention out of love for the gear itself. But we're not getting any sweet green on the back of that. We ain't getting no cabbage. So what we need to do is I need to go and find the affiliate link for a particular user that's an account on Amazon that's selling, for example, the Sony ZV-E10 here, the Sigma 16mm lens, the Godox light. And then in our YouTube comments, we just go, here's all the gear that we use and here's where you can buy it. And then people click those links. And then it supports the channel. Yeah. And it greases the wheels of capitalism, which we all have a moral obligation to do. Exactly. Especially everybody out there listening to this, you are obliged to grease the wheels of capitalism. Now,
can
John,
I just mention my segue from your Wikipedia story, which is another I mentioned briefly or alluded to briefly earlier, which is another Wikipedia story. And it's kind of interesting because Wikipedia is a little bit of a kind of dusty, old generation internet product, but it's been in the news lately a couple of times. And most recently, well, it was obviously that running story, but also its legal troubles in India because there's a news channel there which is called Asian News International, and it's a very major kind of network in India. It's very influential. It's very well funded. It's been around for decades, and it's basically one of the largest news agencies in fact, maybe even the largest in India. And obviously that's an enormous market. And it's kind of been accused at different times of being in the pocket of the government there and kind of publishing misinformation. So, you know, it's got a kind of broadly, I think, sort of Hindu nationalist, anti-Muslim kind of stance. And has published various pieces of misinformation over the years involving like misreporting of events and, you know, photos being taken out of context or sometimes just photos that were doctored or that aren't representing what they're said to represent or whatever. And some of that's to do with kind of conflicts with Pakistan or with Bangladesh, etc. Right. And so somebody on Wikipedia basically made an edit which accused it of, quote, being a propaganda tool for the incumbent, which is the federal government, and of distributing material from fake news websites. And I think they even maybe demanded in the edit that they shouldn't, you know, that the page should be, or that Asian News International shouldn't exist or something like this, right? It was quite a provocative edit. And Asian News International or representatives from them tried to take it down, and they were unsuccessful. I think there was a kind of, you know, it was one of those pages that I referred to earlier where it was either at that stage or maybe subsequently was given a kind of security clearance that made it difficult for edits to go through before they'd sort of been through the right people. And so the ANI spokesperson that was trying to remove those edits was unsuccessful. And then eventually they sued Wikimedia, which makes Wikipedia, and tried to kind of get them to either take responsibility or to reveal the people who were behind the edits or person perhaps who was behind the edit. And so the hearing, as I understand it, is still ongoing, and Wikipedia has kind of had to submit to the court's jurisdiction by providing, I think, some kind of confidential information about, you know, it might be like the IP address of the person who's made those edits and maybe what it can tell from that IP address or something. So that's in possession of the court. It's not yet in possession of ANI. And basically it's kind of, people are, you know, obviously like people in India as well as people around the world are sort of watching closely because it's an example of somebody who, you know, like a powerful party who has been annoyed by the content of their page, who's able to now take action, and they're saying, well, you know, will this, if they end up winning, will this provide some kind of precedent, even just in India, but potentially in other jurisdictions as well, where you can say, you can file a case, then you can ask for the identification of editors, and maybe the court will grant that access, you know, regardless of the outcome of the proceeding. They might give you access to the private information of someone who's making edits under a fake name or whatever. And personally, that makes me a bit anxious because obviously I don't know what the statute of limitations is in different places on defamation, but some of the stuff that I have written in Wikipedia, probably going back 20 years, so it's a while, but still, I'm sure you could find my whatever fake name I was using at that time, and you could maybe get access to you could maybe deduce who I was. And then, I don't know, Kurt Russell, Guru Josh, any number of people could come after me for my edits. But it's weird, right? Because it's like, I mean, it's a bit like when people try and sue Uber, and Uber's like, well, you know, you're talking about our drivers, like we're just kind of a company that sits back and we don't have any control over their actions, or we have very limited control over their actions. Similarly, Wikipedia is taking the line that, you know, this is all volunteer run, and we can't be held responsible for what's on the pages of different people or different parties. Meanwhile, of course, the Asian News International site now or entry on Wikipedia has just become even more damning because it records the fact that it actually records the fact that they're suing Wikimedia on the page, and explains why, and explains that by reference to the kind of impugned accusations made on the previous version of the page. So even though I think that was eventually taken down, it's now, you know, in effect, what this person said has been restored under the guise of just reporting the basis of the case against Wikipedia. So you can still see that they are like a tool of the Modi government, according to, you know, a bunch of detractors in India. And so I wish them well. I wish both parties well. Obviously, I am willing to offer my services. I don't have much experience in defamation law, but I do have experience defacing Wikipedia pages, which I think coupled with a general knowledge of law would stand me in good stead.
Have that as your law specialty. You could have like, you could be like, look, I understand deeply this complicated topic.
Exactly.
Of editing Wikipedia pages. I defended Camille Herron and Conor Holt, the ultra marathon running team.
Yeah. I can get inside the head of these people as a reformed Wikipedia pirate myself. I understand the kind of adrenaline rush that you get from accusing news agencies of corruption.
It's funny talking this much about Wikipedia, because I've realized I use Wikipedia very seldom at the moment, and that's happened post LLMs, post Perplexity, post ChatGPT, because a lot of the stuff, because Wikipedia meant that if you wanted an answer on something, you'd think to yourself, okay, I'm looking for information on the movie Gremlins. Yeah. So what I'll do is I will go to the Gremlins Wikipedia page, and I will sift through the entire article to find the information that I'm looking for. Maybe I can do a Control F to search for a keyword in the Wikipedia article, but that's how I'm going to find the information that I want. Yeah. Whereas, of course, with ChatGPT and other large language models, you can ask it the specific question and it gives you the specific answer with none of that sifting friction in between. So if I want to know what it was, you know, what kind of mood was Corey Feldman in during the... Was he in Gremlins? Corey Feldman? Let's ask Perplexity.
Or can you... Perplexity, I'm having trouble recalling the details of the love story between the male and female gremlin in Gremlins 2. Can you fill me in? And it will.
Yes, Corey Feldman appeared in Gremlins as the character Pete Fountain or Fontaine. The film was one of his early film roles, contributing to his rise. So there you go. Like, I can't ask that of Wikipedia. What I would have to have done is gone into Gremlins and gone, like, search Feldman. Is he in this?
Yeah.
So that's something that is I think it's another potential website. And also they must scrape the hell out of Wikipedia, those large language models.
That's a concern that I raised, possibly misguided, because I'm not an expert and I haven't thought it through. But you would think like, well, this works well now because Wikipedia is there to be scraped. But, you know, if everyone did what you're doing and just goes to those large language models and doesn't actually develop the internet from which they're scraping information, then over time the quality of what's scraped will be more outdated. We'll just get the world as it was when the large language models came along.
That's true. Yeah.
So they'll be able to tell us about Gremlins 2, but if they make a Gremlins 3, then we're fucked.
Did you use ChatGPT this week, John? Or any other large language model, John?
Did I use ChatGPT?
Did you use any large language models this week, John?
I did, because it's kind of a weird...
This week in large language models.
This week in large language,
we're going to our segment, Al and John's use of large language models this week.
We used to have we still do notionally have a segment called What Have You Tubed, which is about recent adventures on YouTube. But maybe we need one called What's Perplexing You this week?
Great. What did you use ChatGPT for?
So my friend Liz, shout out to Liz, she sometimes listens to the podcast, told me that she sometimes uses it to talk. I don't know where she got this idea, but she said what you can do is you give it characteristics of yourself. You say, I'm a bit of a nerd, or I like this, or I'm outdoorsy, whatever. And then you say, based on those characteristics, and maybe even based on my hopes and dreams that you've given it, give me a detailed run through of my ideal day. And then it will kind of weave together your traits and everything that you've given it into an ideal day. And then if you want, you might say to it, I want to be married to a Brazilian supermodel and live in a mansion and blah, blah, blah. Or you might say less directly, I'm this kind of person, that kind of person, and it'll kind of try and draw inferences about what you might like to be doing and where you might like to be living. And then you can go on to ask it as you would a kind of life coach or therapist. You say, okay, well, this is my life now. Can you tell me how to get to my ideal day? Can you give me some strategies? And it basically, it's quite good at responding to those kinds of questions, particularly because, as we've discussed before, ChatGPT has a sort of slightly kind of sweet, self-carey vibe to it. It's got that sort of tone. So it finds it quite easy to switch into like, here are some strategies you can deploy to make yourself feel better about the fact that you don't live in a mansion in the West Village or whatever. And, she told me that she'd done this and got the idea from somewhere, and then I did it. That was the last thing I used ChatGPT for. But I also did use Wikipedia this week because my friend is in the small town of Mount Macedon in Victoria, and I wanted to give them just for the sake of it, a factoid about Mount Macedon, which was that the 2009 Spike Jonze film Where the Wild Things Are is partly filmed in the Victorian town of Mount Macedon, of all places. Yeah. There must have been some
I never knew that.
tax benefit in them filming it in Melbourne. And so they did it here, and I guess in some towns that are, within a couple hours drive. And I had to look at the Wikipedia article for that. But now that you've mentioned it to me, I probably next time that happens would just go to ChatGPT, give me 100 fun facts about this town.
Yeah. Do you have, I'm going to send you a prompt, John, and I want you to put this, you can read the prompt out, and then can you enter that into ChatGPT? So read the prompt to everybody. This is one that's been trending the last couple of weeks because ChatGPT can do images now, which I didn't realize.
Oh, I didn't know that. cents. Wow.
So and also ChatGPT now records everything that you feed it, so it starts to get a sense of you. So what's the prompt there say, John, that I've sent you?
Okay. Based on what you know of me, show me a picture of what my life looks like.
Yeah. So
scary.
What we'll get you to do is we'll get you to paste that into ChatGPT right now, hit enter, generate picture, and then send it to me, and also we'll bring it up on the screen for everybody.
Okay, so this will be, here we go, I'm doing it. Based on what you know of me, show me a picture of what my life looks like.
And is it generating an image? Is it giving you something you've not seen before, a little image generation?
It's asking for clarity. So it says, could you share a bit more about what you'd like me to include in this picture?
So it sounds like it doesn't know you
me that well.
No.
Knowing about your outdoor education class for young children. I don't what? What's giving it the idea?
Somebody else logged into your ChatGPT account.
Oh, that's because I was asking it something about my friend who's an outdoor educator. So it does
have some memory.
Yeah. So it's got some warped. I'll just say, just do your best. I'm not giving you anything else.
Don't you remember me?
Yeah. Just do your best, please, knowing what you know already. And then it'll say,
"You're an outdoor education coach."
Okay. Yeah.
And
so it's probably not going to be very good because it's obviously got a limited sense of who I am.
Doesn't know you. I can bring mine up in the meantime. I'm actually not.
Yeah, it's just like a picture of a guy doing an outdoor education class. I've been using it for years. How's that not what it knows? I mean, come on.
Mine's quite good. I'll show you mine because it knows and loves me, ChatGPT, unlike you. You're so dull, John, that it can't even be bothered to remember you. It's scratching its head going, what did you say your name was again?
Just deletes. No, look, if I look down the
we met at that party.
Yeah, come on. Come on, P. If I look down the kind of list of like the cache that it's got, it's enormous.
Yeah.
It's all like, it's very, very long because I've put in a lot of rubbish. But I would say in all of that, there's very little about me because it's usually like me challenging it to say, can you remember this obscure character from some book, or me going, basically asking it like politically incorrect questions and seeing what I can get it to say.
If you have a look at what I've sent you, it's pretty owl. You can describe. I'll bring it up on the screen.
That is.
Yeah.
Far out. So shall I describe it?
Yeah. Describe it to me.
So for anyone listening, it's a view from a desk kind of looking out the window.
Yeah.
And the city is clearly Berlin that it's looking out over. And in the foreground, you got the TV tower and stuff and very recognizably Berlin. There's also a poster next to the window which says Berlin in kind of street graffiti style font and has a kind of abstract image of Berlin. And then there's a bunch of stuff on the desk, most of which is quite actually similar to that. I mean, it's not a completely inaccurate representation of what's actually probably in that room that you're recording from. There's a computer which has a kind of sound editing image on display. There's a bunch of speakers and knobs and turntables and like sound adapters and a record player and some nice there you go, some nice
like a little keyboard.
There's some couple of sets of headphones, there's some sneakers, there's a nice black
running
coffee.
Sneakers John,
they're very, very nice running sneakers.
Black coffee.
Yeah, black coffee.
40 dildos.
Why doesn't it know me? I've been asking it so much
about you. Doesn't know anything about.
Just because I usually say like, how many ants would it take to make a pile of dead ants the size of a pyramid? So it just knows that I'm unwell.
This is going to produce an image of somebody in a straight jacket.
Exactly.
In a padded cell. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I want it to know. I want it to know you so bad, like it knows me.
I'm going to work on that hopefully next week. I can give it when we come back to our session of what did we call it?
Not you mean the LLM segment?
The segment
this week. This week in LLM use.
Yeah, this week that's a good one because the other one's sort of product specific. But we should say maybe we should call it "Man, That's a Large Language Model."
Could you see the micro? There's also a mic, like a podcast microphone. Did you see that in my image?
Podcast microphone. What else have we got? There's
bottle of water. I fucking love water. How did it know? I fucking lose my shit over water. I just had a glass of water. How did you know?
There's a nice little indoor plant. I think it's been spying on you. There's some.
Yeah, actually, fuck. That's another thing to think about, isn't it? That like large language models, they're just tapping into your webcam.
Exactly. Selling my data.
Yeah, sucking your data. Well, John, this sounds like a great way to end the show. And guys, hot tip, if you've been using ChatGPT and you've been feeding it all your data and it knows everything about you, don't be scared. Just ask it a fun question like I did, which was, based on what you know of me, show me a picture of what my life looks like. And then you'll get a sense of what Shajisikwi thinks of you. John, I want to say thank you so much for this week's episode. Have you been happy with this week's episode?
I have, yeah. Please do share with us if you're a member. Of course, if you've subscribed on Patreon, you can share this on the Discord.
Yeah.
A picture that the wonderful large language model doesn't have to be ChatGPT. It could be any of the very, very large language models that's currently available. Just get us.
Other large.
Just say, man, that's a large language model, and get in there and say. And say,
guys, next week on boy, that's a large language model. Shucks. Guys, next week on Shucks, that's a large language model. Yeah, guys, if you are a Patreon member, come and shoot us a message in the Discord. Lots of fun things happening over there in Discord. We are on Patreon. Anybody who wants bonus episodes once a month, and the episodes come out one day earlier for you on video and audio form. Patreon.com/DPTM, or just search DPTM Patreon in Google. John, what are you doing right now?
I'm going to go have dinner with my friend Vicky and my partner, Just Winky.
And just Winky.
Just Winky.
She's looking very beautiful and pregnant, John, and all those. She must be getting lots of old women in the supermarket coming up to her and going, "Oh,
exactly, yeah. When's it due?" And sometimes they'll put their hands on her belly without her asking.
Has this happened? Has she been having people have lots of people started to recognize? Because it's always such a risk with a stranger saying, "Are you pregnant?" Oh, it's a risk I would never take as a man. I would just never do it. I don't care if you're the most pregnant looking woman in the whole world. No, I'm never gonna guess.
I heard a story. I won't say who it's from because that might out the person concerned inadvertently, but it's a DPTMer actually. Told me a story about a friend of theirs someone they know, and they were at a social event. And not only did he wrongly assume that somebody was pregnant, but he patted the belly, which did not have a baby in it. It was just someone's belly. And I'd leave the country if that happened to me. I can't. I think I'd pass out from the embarrassment.
Just her partner just standing next to her as like a strange man just pats her on the non-babied belly.
So I can't even think about it. Yeah, so I'll ask her about that. And if it hasn't happened, I'll try and engineer it.
Have you been enjoying the maternity fashions that she's been sporting? New funky dresses and billowing skirts.
Yeah, she's taken on a kind of Amish look as she needs to wear clothes that are more billowing and free, and then wear like, I don't know, leggings and bits and pieces that are stretchable, elastic things. So I've been enjoying that, and I've been, I still enjoy chatting to Bongus, and it's funny actually because I don't think she particularly likes to call it Bongus, but I say it so much that she sometimes just has adopted it inadvertently, and then other people have started saying, "How's Bongus?" So you've done a good turn there.
Yes, excellent. That absolutely warms my heart. Brilliant. Well, have a great dinner, John. I've got to start my day. I'm going to go and get a coffee down the road because I'm going to buy beans because I have run out, and then I'm going to be doing video editing for a client for some of the day, and then I have to study for, I haven't mentioned this on the podcast, I have to study for what's called my Einbürgerungstest, which is the German citizenship test. So I'm going for my passport real soon, and the last stage that I need, because I have my B1 certificate, which proves that I can speak German to a level of B1. I have that. I have a bunch of other things you need. The last thing you need is to have done the citizenship test. So I'll ask you once a question about, you better make sure you know things about Germany and German values. Famously, the Australian one, you'd often get asked things about like Don Bradman and stuff, which I always love because we're so like, I was joking with somebody and saying that if you do the Australian one, it's actually like 82% sport questions. So there's just there's like 18% of it is about, how the court system and government works in Australia. And then 82% is just Australian sporting history.
Yeah. And it's really granular. It's like section 1, the Ashes, section 2, David Boone.
Yeah. In how many sets did Leighton Hewitt win Wimbledon? You have to get that. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, John Maloney. Have a great dinner. And everybody out there, we can't wait to see you next week.
The podcast.